Respected and Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Malayendu Saha, Honorable Professor Gautam Pal, Honorable Head of the Department Professor Taruk Das Basu, Honorable Professor Shabir Chakraborty, Professor Tapan Kumar Das, Professor Tapati Chakraborty, Professor Chandan Sengupta, Professor Shankar Narayan Sinha, my dear Professor Rakhi Das Gupta, Professor Ashok Prasun Chattopadhyay, Professor Tanima, and our respected speaker of today, Professor Arindam Moitro, and my dear participants, a warm welcome to all of you to this inaugural session of 3-day national workshop on next generation sequencing. First of all, I'd like to apologize for being a little bit late because of certain unforeseen circumstances. And I'd also like to say that this time we could not accommodate more than 20 participants because of the stipulation by DBT. But I promise the next workshop will be a bigger one and we will accommodate more and more persons. So the next generation sequencing, the theme of today's topic, it is one of the most interesting and upcoming topics of modern day biology. And as far my experience goes, I first met with this next generation sequencing technique in around 2008 when I was doing my postdoc in Buck Institute, which is a part of Stanford University. There I met a couple of people from the organization 23andMe, but my interaction ended there because my project was something else. It was on prediction of protein-protein interaction. So today I will also be a learner like all of you, and I'd like to learn the tidbits of this interesting technique. So without further delay, may I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to kindly come over to the dais, please. Thank you, sir. May I now request Honorable Professor Gautam Pal to come over to the dais. Thank you, sir. May I now request Honorable Professor Taruk Das Basu to come over to the dais. Thank you, sir. And last but not the least, Professor Moitro to come over to the dais, please. Thank you very much. We would now like to extend a formal welcome to our respected guests and with a memento. So may I request the students to come over here, please, with the flower bouquet and memento. Please, to the Vice Chancellor, sir, first. Open করে দাও। To the Honorable Professor Gautam Pal, sir, next. Then to Professor Moitro. extend to our head of the department, Professor Tarek Das Basu. উনি আজকে একটু আটকে গেছেন কোথাও। May I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to kindly inaugurate the session formally.
Very good morning to all of you. The head of the Department of the Biochemistry and Biophysics, Professor Tarek Das Basu, my colleague, the ex-dean of the faculty, Professor Gautam Pal, the speaker, Professor Mitro, the senior faculty members of this particular departments and the other faculty members of the other departments as well, and the fellow participants. I am really an odd man out. I am a student of finance, I am a student of commerce, so it is very, I will not take any time to go for these kinds of topics because I am nowhere in this particular topic, because in my subject of physics, in my subject of finance, what I am currently being seeing that when I started the research work, I did my research on this human resource accounting, and after that I switched over to some little bit of work in finance, and in the course of, during the course of recent studies, I have found that there are some terminologies which are not being dealt with in the stream of commerce, but it is very much common to us as well, because in the subject of commerce we have not yet introduced this big data analysis, the fuzzy logic, the neural networking, the other artificial intelligence. But when you are doing these kinds of big data analysis, because suppose you are talking about that the last day what has happened, that the denominations of 500 rupees and 1000 rupees are being taken off, and there is an historical background that the number of times rupees, these kinds of denominations are being taken off by the different governments. That today yesterday when I saw and heard this particular thing, the research that come to my mind, that whether it has been possible to go for the political impact and the impact of the stock market. I have seen the stock market today and it has been down by more than 1,200 points. There is another important correlation, because today you have the US voting been there. You are all aware of this particular thing, and the global markets are being very much synchronized with this global phenomena. So when you are talking about, because some of the research that are being carried out by my students now, they are thinking that the post-independence era and the futures of the stock market. So taking that 100 years perspective, what would happen? So big data analysis is taken into consideration, and there are lots of software developments are being there, so that we can be able to accumulate all the types of data as well as some behavioral science, because the neural networking, fuzzy logic is a kind of the behavioral science that we are also thinking about what is the political impact, and this impact, political scenario, budget, and the impact on the stock market. These kinds of analysis where we are talking about where the sequencing of the database. So if you think about this subject, the seminar today, the workshop is going to be held today, it will take into consideration a number of theories and number of technologies that are being used for this genomics and the kinds of synonyms that are being used in this particular subject. So I do thank this department, and most importantly Professor Bakshi, that he is initiative, because once he came to me and talking about that we are going to have these kinds of workshop, first I have said that it has not been possible because the NAC peer team is down the corner and they are going to visit the university very soon. But simultaneously Professor Rita Ghosh has visited myself. Just a minute. Just. আমি একটু পরে আসছি। Then I have appreciated their motives, that it is a kind of workshop and there will be restricted, because we are not certain that when the NAC peer team is supposed to be visited our place, but they have said it is going to be on 8 to 10 December. So these kinds of endeavor I do appreciate. It is for the betterment not only for the department, because he confessed himself that today he will be a learner, because it's kind of interaction process. These kinds of workshop, hands-on training, do appreciate, do be able to go for inter-exchanging or interacting with the person who is been doing in the platform, in the podium, and who has been on the opposite side, so that they can be able to interact or exchange their ideas. And these kinds of interactions can be able to, because to my knowledge, if you share, because as a man of finance, when I share some of my finance, because nowadays when I talk to my mother, she said that what would happen to my 500 notes and 1000 notes of denomination. There is no hurry, that nothing would happen to you, but I will take the entire responsibility, because she has been accumulated some money for herself. So when you are being thinking about these kinds of distress situation, what would happen? An exchange of ideas, an exchange of these kinds of research-based workshop not only help the recipient, but also help that what I am talking about. If I share my wealth can be reduced, but if I share my wisdom, it will already enrich not only myself, the others as well. So I do hope that these kinds of workshops would automatically, or no doubt, will help all the participants present here. And I do inaugurate this particular workshop, and I always encourage that in days to come, we can be able to have more and more participants for these kinds of workshops. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your encouraging talk. May I now request Honorable Professor Gautam Pal, sir, to kindly introduce the topic.
Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Saha, Honorable Head of the Department Professor Tarokdas Basu, Dr. Maitra, our respected speaker, our senior and junior colleagues of this university, and dear participants, I must express my heartfelt congratulations to you all. We know that bioinformatics infrastructure facility of this department, actually it was established in 2006, and this center has extended their support, has extended their service. Specifically, I must mention, they extended their commendable service for the enrichment of scientific research in this university and for the generation of resources of other university and higher educations. At the outset, I must say that I'm not the learner of this topic. I'm a layman in this field, although I am a learner or student of the biological sciences. I do not know the present generation sequencing. It is not a question to know the next generation sequencing, NGS. But we must know that as a illiterate person, we have to determine the sequences of the DNA basis of our genomes, human genomes. Say, for example, I must cite an example. Recently in Delhi, we must observe that an environmental tragedy is occurring, which is not the smoke, but it is a smoke haze. And most of the human individuals, including cattle, birds, and other living organisms, including plants, are suffering. Okay, but there is two types of technology for determination of the sequencing of the genes. One is the standard technologies, I mean existing traditional technologies, we must know that this is the Sangha technology and it needs enough time, and it depends on the specific high quality infrastructures and depends on the financial assistance, more financial assistance. But I do believe the next generation sequencing can determine the genetic sequences, I mean base sequences of the human genome within a very shorter period of time, and very cheaply we can determine the base sequences. I do suppose to extend this technology so that acute effects on human beings, I mean the genetic changes, say for example, I have cited an example, the effect of smoke haze on the human beings, which produces coughs, which increases the body temperatures, and it impairs the visual sights. What are the reasons? What are the genetic reasons? I must say that we must extend this technology to determine the acute, I mean short-term changes of the DNA. Okay, that is the master of the cell, that is the master of the physiological processes and all the artifacts produced in the human beings as a result of the pollutions and other types of causal agents. Okay, we must say that, say for example, in cold effects, we are occasionally attacked by the cold bacteriums, cold viruses, isn't it? And to decrease the body temperature, we must take paracetamol. Okay. Now, what is the impact of paracetamol on liver cells? Certain effects. We must collect the liver cells, we must collect the genomes of the liver cells, and must apply this technology to determine what is the effect of paracetamol on liver cells, on liver DNA sequences. Okay. In spite of the fact that, say for example, in case of some anomalies in human beings, say for example sickle cell anemia, we must know that in our blood circulations, a few persons are suffering for sickle cell anemias. What are the reasons? We know that blood cells carries oxygen from lung to the cells, but due to the abnormalities in the hemoglobin chains, we know that in case of hemoglobin, in case of human beings, there are two types of chains, alpha chain, beta chains. There is some abnormalities in the beta chains. I mean, there is a triplet codon, I mean substitutions of some triplet codons which codes glutamic acids. It is mutated as a result of the mutations. Okay, by applying those technologies, could we repair those mutations? Are we efficient? Are we in a position to repair those mutations? Yes, we must welcome this technology for the benefit of the humankind. Other benefits of this technology, say for example, in case of identification of the bacterium, today we can classify and identify bacteria on the basis of the morphology, on the basis of the stunning technologies, but we can apply those technology to determine the bacterial species. Moreover, we can evaluate, we can historically examine the evolution of the human beings from the living organisms. Okay, I must thank particularly Dr. Unshuman Bakchi. He's very genius, very tremendously genius and outstanding teachers in this field. And I must thank all the senior most teachers, head of the department, Professor Sajal Chakraborty, Professor Tapati Chakraborty, Professor Tapon Das, and other genius, outstanding teachers of the other departments, Professor Chandan Sengupta and Professor Ashok Pesun Chattopadhyay, and Dr. Shankara, Professor Shankara Seniors, and other faculty members, and my colleagues Tonimas and Lokeshri. They are very genius, outstanding teachers of this university, and I must thank the infrastructure facility organizers for their invitations to me to be here with you, and I must express my best wishes to this bioinformatics infrastructure facilities, and I wish this workshop will be succeed in order to uplift the quality of research in our university, and so that a message is extended to the society for the benefit of the entire humankind. Thank you all. ধন্যবাদ, নমস্কার। ভালো থাকুন।
Thank you very much, sir, for your nice and encouraging talk and your blessing. We'll have a short tea break and then we will start the lecture.
Hello. So we have now come to almost at the end of our inaugural session. First of all, I'd like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Molendu Shaha and Professor Gautam Pal, former Dean, Faculty of Science, for finding a time from their busy schedule and inaugurating the session, inaugurating this workshop. They have been a constant source of encouragement and inspiration for us. I would also like to thank Head of our department, Professor Tarokdas Bosu, for allowing us to use this seminar room for this workshop and extending all sort of help in organizing this workshop. I would also like to thank our distinguished guest, Professor Mitro, and also other resource persons who has agreed to deliver lectures and enlighten our students with their knowledge and their research experiences. I would also like to thank all the distinguished and faculty members from other departments for their gracious presence. And most important, I would like to thank Dr. Anshuman Bakchi, the coordinator of Bioinformatics Center. With his able guidance and leadership, this center has come to this height, and it is prospering, and he has been instrumental in organizing this kind of workshops and short courses for the benefit of students quite frequently. And I would like to thank DBT for sponsoring this workshop, and also the finance officer Mridul Kundu, and accounts and audit and accounts officer Anjun Dash for giving us financial support. And last but not the least, all the scholars and members of this Bioinformatics Center, Shumon, Rajobroto, Nikat, Shemonti, Nilkanto, Anando, Shanchari, all of them, they have actively participated in making this, in organizing this symposium, this workshop, and making it a success. So thank you all the participants for your presence, and hope you will be benefited by all the lectures from our distinguished guests. Thank you all. And now tea is waiting outside. There will be a short break for 15 minutes. Thank you.